What's up, Eagles fans? Welcome into All-22 Review driven by AAA. I'm your host, Fran Duffy. Eagles fall to 1-2 in dramatic fashion to the Detroit Lions at home at Lincoln Financial Field on Sunday. This was a game full of highs and lows, lots of ebbs and valleys here in this game. A lot of highlights that we'll break down, some plays that didn't go the Eagles' way, a lot of penalties and drops and self-inflicted wounds, but certainly this team will look to recover. Short turnaround coming up against Green Bay. But before we move to that matchup, let's get into some of the biggest plays from Sunday's action. So everybody talks about the Eagles and their need to start fast. And on the opening drive, they get a field goal. One of the biggest plays, this long completion to Miles Sanders. They come out in an empty set. An empty set means that you've got no one in the backfield with Carson Wentz. He's all by himself back there. All 5 eligible receivers are spread out. But it's the location of these receivers that is most important. So we're going to see exactly what you've got. You've got all 3 receivers here to the bottom of the screen. This is an 11 personnel set. So what is 11 personnel? 1 back, that's Miles Sanders, 1 tight end, that's Zach Ertz, and 3 receivers. That's your 11 personnel set. So you're going to notice that you've got Sanders and Ertz to the top of the screen. That's a little bit of a red flag for Detroit. They put in a check here. This is a primarily man coverage team, but here they're going to play cover 3. They're going to play zone. My guess, and this is without talking to the coaches obviously, that they knew that they were going to check to cover 3. And you're going to get the safeties rotating. You're going to get a safety rotation here. Here are your 3 deep defenders. The guy that I want you to watch is Darius Slay at the top of the screen, their best cover corner. What's going to happen here is that Miles Sanders is going to run vertically down the field. That should be Slay's guy in this zone coverage concept. You're also going to have Zach Ertz running a quick out route to the right. So the ball's going to be snapped here. We're going to let this run. Carson Wentz is going to open up to his right-hand side, and he's looking at Carson Wentz here in the flat. You're going to see, look at Darius Slay. Where are his eyes? He's reading Carson Wentz here. He's going to let Miles Sanders go beyond him, and as soon as Carson looks like he's about to cock and throw this ball to the right side to Zach Ertz, that's where Darius Slay jumps this route. So we're going to let this play out here, and you're going to see the job that Carson does. He avoids pressure, keeps his eyes downfield. He sees Sanders break open, and now you've got a huge X play in the passing game, getting the Eagles into Detroit territory. Big play helps set up a field goal on the opening drive. That's all part of the plan with Doug Peterson and this coaching staff. Try and get Detroit into favorable looks and take advantage of it on the back end. All right, so the next time the Eagles get the football, they're now down 7-3 after the kickoff return for a touchdown by Detroit. So first play of the next drive, the Eagles get a big X play in the passing game from Carson Wentz to Zach Ertz. And this was really well designed by the Eagles coaching staff. And they come out in 12 personnel, and that's 1 back, 2 tight ends, okay? So who are the 2 tight ends? Dallas Goedert, a little nicked up coming into this game. He's active, but you're going to see Zach Ertz here as a wing, and then you're going to see Halapoulivaati Vaitai, the extra offensive lineman, serving as an extra tight end here. So it's 1 back, 2 tight ends. Here are your 2 receivers here at the bottom. Obviously, here's your running back in the backfield. Now, on this play, you're going to get Zach Ertz, like I said, on the wing. The Detroit Lions respond with their nickel personnel. So they've got extra defensive backs on the field. You've got Darius Slay matched up here on the outside with Matt Collins. You've got Justin Coleman, the slot corner, matched up on Nelson Aguilar. This right here is going to be Rashaan Melvin. He is matched up on Zach Ertz. So before the snap, we're going to let this roll. You're going to see Zach Ertz is now bought into motion. So he comes from the right side to the left side, and we'll freeze it again. You'll see Rashaan Melvin is the one who runs with them. So you've got a corner matched up on Zach Ertz. In theory, you don't really like that as an Eagles fan, right? You'd like to see that be a linebacker or a safety. The Eagles, however, like this matchup, especially against man coverage. Again, Detroit is a big man coverage team. What you're going to get here from a route concept standpoint is a switch release from the Eagles outside receivers, and all that's meant to do is just create a void here at the intermediate area of the field for Zach Ertz to be able to work. You're going to take these 2 defenders from Detroit and you're going to send them vertically, get them out of the picture, isolate Ertz one-on-one with Rashaan Melvin. Now, the big thing that you're going to see from Ertz is a really nice double move where he's going to run as if he's running an over route, and then he's going to bust it back towards the opposite sideline. So this is going to be a really well-done double move from Zach Ertz. We'll let this run. Again, he's matched up on a corner here, Rashaan Melvin, who's played very well to start the season off. He gets stuck on the back end. Having that pre-snap motion doesn't allow the corner to get set. Zach Ertz gets open for a big first down on first down, gets the Eagles to midfield. So big X play in there in the passing game to get things started for the Eagles offense. They continue marching the football down the field. Good scramble by Carson Wentz, gets them on the 1-yard line. Jordan Howard punches it in, and the Eagles take a lead here 10-7 in the first quarter. All right, well, let's take a look at this 19-yard run by Carson Wentz, and it helps set up a Jordan Howard touchdown. And this was a really fun play. A lot of layers to it, so stay with me here. First thing, we're going to look at this from Carson Wentz's perspective, okay? The Eagles come out, and they've got 4 wide. They've got everybody spread out. You've got Darren Sproles here in the backfield. You see what Detroit is showing, okay? You've got 5 defenders up on the line of scrimmage. This is a 5-over-5, a dime in front, all guys up. This is a pressure look from the defense, okay? When you look into the middle of the field, what do you see? You see no safeties. Here's your safety over here. He's got eyes over on this side. Carson thinks it could be some kind of a bracket coverage on 3rd down. So you've got no safety. You've got 5 up. Looks like some kind of a pressure look. Now you're going to get a pre-snap motion here from Nelson Agholor, and that's just going to serve as just one final confirmation for Carson Wentz. You see the defender running with Nelson. That confirms pretty much that it's man coverage for Carson Wentz. So he's going to drop back, and the downside of playing man coverage if you're a defense is all of your eyes are on your receivers. And there's no, like I said, no safety in the middle of the field. So at this point, Carson's going to take the snap. We can play it. He's going to drop back. Nobody has eyes on Carson Wentz except for these defensive linemen. So as soon as he sees a crease, he's going to take off. All those guys in the secondary are worried about the receivers. Now I want to bring it back to the beginning and show you the other aspect of what makes this play work, and that's the Eagles' offensive line. Because Detroit is actually going to run a 5-man pressure, and it's a stunt on the inside, and it's really well picked up by the Eagles' offensive line. Every pass protection is cut into 2 sides. There's a man protection side and a zone side. The easiest way to tell typically is just watch the center. If the center opens up one way, that's the side of the zone side of the protection. So here, you're going to see Jason Kelce open up to his left. Isaac Seumalo open up to his left. Jason Peters open up to his left. That means that you've got a zone side of the protection. That means now you've got Brandon Brooks manned up one-on-one, and you've got Lane Johnson manned up one-on-one. If there's any kind of funny business from the defense here on the left side, on the zone side, you need a lot of communication from this trio, and you get a really good job here from Isaac Seumalo and from Jason Kelce passing off what appears to be some kind of a 2-man stunt, a TT stunt, where the nose tackle is going to try and go inside and pin the shoulder of Isaac Seumalo, and the other defensive lineman is going to come and kind of loop around him. Now, this is where the fun starts, because it's actually not even a 2-man stunt from the Detroit Lions. It's actually a 3-man stunt, because this defensive lineman right here over Brandon Brooks is going to slow play his rush, wait for those 2 to develop, and then he's going to loop around. I want you to watch the job that Brandon Brooks does of not only allowing everything else to develop, but play through those 2 guys and keep Carson Wentz healthy. And we're going to take a look exactly here. The ball's going to be snapped. Just a great job by Jason Kelce, Isaac Seumalo, Brandon Brooks, all 3 of these guys. You see the stunt passed off inside. Kelce and Seumalo handle that perfectly. Brandon Brooks works through the trash there and keeps Carson upright. Carson steps up. He recognizes man coverage, nearly punches this into the end zone. An awesome job by everybody involved. Really well done across the board for the Eagles offense. They get right on the doorstep. Jordan Howard punches it in 1 play later to put the Eagles ahead. All right, so for our first defensive play here in this breakdown, we're going to take a look at a critical pass breakup by Malcolm Jenkins that forces a 3rd and 11 in the 3rd quarter. Now, pre-snap, this is what Matthew Stafford is seeing. The Eagles look like they're in a 1-high defense, okay? You've got Rodney McLeod in the middle of the field. Here's Malcolm Jenkins down in the slot. You've got a little bit of a pressure look here from the defensive front, and you've got Sidney Jones at your left corner spot, a 12 personnel set from the Detroit Lions. Now, at the snap of the ball, this defense is going to look a lot different than what we see pre-snap. You're actually going to get a blitz here from Nigel Bradham. You're going to get Josh Sweat dropping back into coverage, and this is going to be a zone look. Remember, I said pre-snap single high. Well, now we're going to get this rotation. We're going to let the tape run here, and you're going to take a look at exactly what the Eagles defense does. All right, because like I said, you're going to have Bradham coming on the blitz. The running back has to step up right in front of Matthew Stafford to help keep him in protection. You've got Sidney Jones dropping back. He's going to be a split safety here. The safety, Rodney McLeod's actually going to drop down. He's going to be in one cover 2 middle linebacker in the middle of the field. There's your other safety. This is actually going to be a version of cover 2. So there are your high safeties. Here's one underneath defender. Josh Sweat's going to drop out to give you another one. There's Andrew Sendejo. There's your other defensive end, and you've got Rodney McLeod dropping. So you've got all these guys, 5 guys underneath. Here are your 2 deep in the middle of the field. Malcolm Jenkins does a great job of getting to the outside, understanding what's the threat. There's no threat here in the flat, so he's going to sink here back and get depth and make a play on the football, get a hand on it, and get the ball on the ground. We're going to let this play run, and you can see the job Malcolm does. Gets his eyes back to the quarterback, feels it, gets back. The receiver would have been open. It was actually a great play call by Detroit to attack cover 2, and Malcolm Jenkins does a great job, makes the play, gets the football on the ground. A lot of moving parts there from the Eagles defense, but they did a great job of disguising coverage. Malcolm makes a great individual effort, get the ball on the ground. That brings up the next scoring play for the Eagles. The last time the Eagles faced a Matt Patricia defense was just about 19 months ago, and that was Super Bowl 52, February 4th, 2018, in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Let's take a look at one of their biggest plays from that game. One of the best play calls that they had. They ran it a bunch of times in that game in the win over New England, the mesh play. And what constitutes a mesh play? Well, you're going to have 3 crossing routes over the middle of the field, and these are the 3 crossing routes that you're going to see involved here from the Eagles. You've got Nelson Agholor from one side. He's going to run the underneath crosser. He is going to be the primary receiver for Carson Wentz. After that, you've got Zach Ertz running the second one, and he's going to run the second crossing route. He is the second in the progression for Carson Wentz. Then right here, you've got Mac Hollins. He's going to run this route right here that's going to put him right over the ball. That becomes the 3rd route in the progression. A lot of stuff going on there for Carson Wentz. But the one thing you're going to check, usually this running back is going to be in the backfield next to Carson somewhere. Here, he's in the slot. This is an empty set. He's going to run this wheel route. You remember that long catch that Corey Clement had in the Super Bowl was off this play. The reason why it doesn't go to Darren Sproles here, here's the man coverage defender over Darren Sproles. He very easily is able to work over the top of this. So Carson Wentz gets off of that. Now you have to get to the progression. So we're going to let this run for a sec, and you're going to see exactly what Carson sees. The Detroit Lions are in man coverage, and mesh is great against man. Why? Because you're going to create a lot of traffic in the middle of the field here. This is Nelson Agholor running that shallow cross. This is the defender in charge of covering him. That's Justin Coleman, a former Patriot here in Detroit. Look at all this garbage that he's got to try and work through to try and catch Nelson Agholor. It's not going to happen. So that's why that guy running that underneath crosser, underneath all that traffic, he is going to be the #1 target for the quarterback on this play more often than not. Once that wheel route is taken out of the progression by that defender right here, Carson Wentz knows I have to get back to this shallow cross. That's exactly what he does. We're going to let this run. You're going to see Nelson catch this ball on the run. And now this is just God-given ability here. He's going to make one man miss. He's going to make another man miss. 2 spin moves on one play, turns on the Jets, and jumps into the end zone. Big touchdown there to pull the Eagles within a score in the 3rd quarter. Starts with the Malcolm Jenkins pass breakup. Eagles get great field position, march down the field. Nelson punches it in to get the Eagles back on the board. So that Miles Sanders completion helps to set up this big play from Carson Wentz to Nelson Agholor down on the goal line. Huge play. And really, this is ultimately a rub concept. You can call this a pick play, whatever you want to call it. This is a well-designed play, well within the rules of the NFL handbook. The big block here is going to come from Mac Hollins, who's coming from the outside in, and he's going to come and block the man over Nelson Agholor. Really, the big thing that you have to know is that this ball is on the 2-yard line. You are allowed as an offensive player to lay a block down the field if you don't have the ball, as long as it's within 1 yard. So the Eagles have up until the 1-yard line to be able to lay any kind of block. It would be just like if an offensive lineman blocked one of these guys or if a tight end came in. This just happens to be a wide receiver, Mac Hollins. So now we'll let this run. We'll see exactly where the block takes place. And you can see, here's the 1-yard line. That is before that 1-yard line hits. Obviously, my line is not a scientific drawing here, but you could see exactly where that ball hits. Very well-designed play to beat man coverage. We'll let this run. Carson Wentz, one of the easier touchdowns he's going to have as an Eagle. Pitch and catch to Nelson Agholor for a touchdown. Pulls the Eagles within a field goal. Huge play there to get the Eagles back on the board. So things get crazy from there. Malcolm Jenkins blocks a field goal. Rasul Douglas brings it back. A penalty brings that back. The Eagles look like they convert on 4th and 5. They get their 3rd offensive pass interference penalty of the day. That sends them back. They can't convert on 4th and long, and Detroit goes on to win the game. Eagles fall to 1-2. Look, there's make no bones about it. A tough loss here at home, their first home loss of the season. They fall to 1-2. They have a Thursday night turnaround, so quick turnaround to kind of flush this game out, move right along. You've got Green Bay Packers who are playing really good football at Lambeau Field on Thursday night. We will have all the coverage that you're looking for leading up to that game. Recovering from this one, you've got the Eagle Eye in the Sky podcast fueled by Gatorade with myself and Greg Cosell. You've got Eagles game plan, all of our X's and O's analysis leading up to this game. Eagle Eye in the Sky column should be dropping late on Monday. Until then, we will see you on Thursday night on the All-22 review, driven by AAA.